So, you got the new album.
Yes.
Suicide Notes in Comic Sans.
Yep, that's the whole title.
So tell me about that whole process. Like,
sure.
Matt's probably better equipped for this concept.
No, I mean, you know, it was a pain in the ass. I don't know how else to say it. You know, we went through a lot of stuff, to get to this point. You know, we parted ways with our original drummer. We had a replacement drummer in the meantime, and then we parted ways with that person, and then, you know, we finally found Tony, and that really kind of
Tony
helped solidify the lineup. You know, because I'm pretty sure all 8 songs were more or less written before the final lineup was really solidified. I think maybe Glasshole and Buffalo Child Wings were the two that
those still were in the final stage.
Yeah, they were in their infancy, I guess, at that point, and then we really tried to put everything together once Tony was in the band. And but yeah, then, you know, we parted ways with our bassist, and that, you know, set us back a little bit too. Actually, not as much as we thought it would. To be honest with you, the whole album process really took off once he left the band. You know, which, yeah, he's a great guy, but we did some work. You know, I think
we had to, because we were already running on like 3 years of the old EP, and just trying to like manage writing new songs, getting members back, and try to, you know, get into a studio and finish it. It was impossible.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm surprised it all worked together like it did, because it was getting dark times.
Yeah.
do you think that went into the name or the concept of the album at all? That
No.
kind of...
No, I just think these guys are retarded.
Yeah, I came up with the album name when I was at Trivia one night, and I was like talking with Dan, our guitarist, and I was like, what do you think about Suicide Notes in Comic Sans? Because, you know, that's an awful title. And he was, you know, the two of us were like, we high-fived and everything about it. It was really whack.
You and Dan like some retarded shit, though.
Yeah, yeah. No, me and Dan,
Tim and Eric. What the hell is Tim and Eric?
we have an odd sense of humor, and I like to incorporate that as much as possible into the band, because I just think there's so much you can do with it. You know, it's just weird to subvert everybody's expectations. You know, it's fun to do that, especially in metal. Everybody expects something from you. You know, like you're gonna be, you know, badass, but you really, you know, I mean, it's nice just to kind of let your own personality shine through in your art.
Because, I mean, there's only like 2 ways usually it is. Like, be brutal, heavy, dark, scary as you can, or, you know, be like a party metal band. And we don't have enough friends at all to be a party band. We don't party at all. We're like, you know,
we're not even friends with most of our band, you know, so.
So, do you think that as far as influences go, maybe aside from music, there's more going into this? It sounds like the comedic sensibilities actually play a lot.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't describe us as a comedy band, but I would definitely describe us as a band that has a sense of humor, and is not really afraid to let that freak flag fly.
I mean, as far as like songs and everything, like all the song titles and usually just our general demeanor tends to be
we're
on
not
the more
taking this very seriously.
Comical side, but I guess like if you like actually like listen to the songs and the lyrics of the songs, they're serious, but you know, that's underneath it all. It's kind of fun to just go upstairs, you know, on stage and have, you know, fun. Not be like,
yeah, if you have
I want you guys to kill everybody. I mean, kind of.
If you have to wear a scowl to play a part, I mean, do you? That's fine, whatever. But to me, that's not me. I've never been a tough guy. I've never even been in a fight. So, like, it's not... No, really, no. I play video games, and I don't move too much. So, I have to work with what I got, and if I'm sitting in front of a TV for hours, upon end during the week, some of that is inevitably going to filter into my music, and even our song titles, which we go back to because they're just fun. We like to have fun with it. At least 6 or 7 of them off the new album are movie or television references. So I mean, that's where I come from, at least. I guess I kind of strong-armed Christian on the whole titles thing, so I'm sorry about that bit.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, this song titles are fun. Like, it's fun to have. It has nothing to do with the song whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, Buffalo Child Wings. There's no child wings flavored, with buffalo sauce, in my song lyrics.
Yeah.
But it's just,
Okay.
why does a song title have to define what the song is about?
Right.
I mean,
if you just wanted to make sense, I suppose.
yes, but it's never so much about being super, super serious. If this,
And maybe that's a little gimmicky, but it's not really like something I give a shit about. To be honest, I really wanted just to be as honest as possible on this album.
I'd rather be the person that, from seeing us play and watching us perform, you'd come and want to have a beer with us and not be afraid of us, wanting to punch you in the face or eviscerate you or something.
Right.
We're more the dudes that you drink a beer and smoke a J with.
Well, I want to touch on that because definitely in your live shows, it definitely shines through that you're not, I wouldn't say, too typical of the type of bands that usually I see that are also on the lineup. You guys, so you guys want to talk about how you kind of differentiate yourself when you're in a battle of bands? How do you make yourself a little bit more memorable, you think?
Sure. First off, never play battle of the bands. They're just a waste of time and money. Especially when you're looking at it from our perspective. I mean, most of us were either pushing 30 or in our 30s, and or at least for me personally, it's been more of a hobby than it has been make it, tour Japan and all that stuff. It's
You'd be so dopey, George.
yeah, it would be really cool. That's fine, but dreams die, and no, but as far as differentiating ourselves from other bands is concerned, I want to leave an impression, and even though it is a hobby for me, I'd still like the ability to, have some sort of, at least a little bit of a reputation would be nice. So, in order, when you see all the other bands and they get up there and they do their thing, you either try to be different, or just go up there and do what comes naturally. And I think what comes naturally to us, fortunately, is different from what other people are doing. So we kind of luck out in that regard. It's not like we have to necessarily try to be different, more so that we just are. Maybe not musically, but I think the way we approach it mentally is definitely a little bit different than what I've seen, the other people are doing.
I mean, there's just so many good bands though, all Long Island. Legitimately,
Yeah, there's so much talent here.
a lot of talent, and you're just there's not gonna be a battle who has the bigger dick on who has better guitar solos and who can play the fastest and stuff. Because if you do that, you got all these bands out there that can just wipe us off the map, and it's just we're not like that. I mean, we generally go out to shows, we support bands that we like to listen to, friends and bands. There's some serious talent out there, so when we go up there, we just like to have fun. I've always stressed it from the beginning of this band of just, when we playing together, it's just fun. But when it starts getting not fun, why even continue doing it?
Right.
And it's fun how we're all into the same stuff too. We're all just a bunch of losers, kind of, and so we can play off each other's jokes and lines and stuff that we've seen in movies and TV shows, and it flows naturally with us, and on stage antics, me and Matt are able to just go back and forth, and it's natural, it's not forced. So
yeah, we got a good give and take.
So we like to do that.
Yeah, it's fun. And like he was saying, there's so much talent on Long Island, so many local heavy acts that are really pushing the limits of what they can do, and you know, the respect we have for them is never ending. Us maybe not being the most classically trained musicians, we have to do what we feel, and we're also pushing the limits of what we're capable of. It's just
like that. I mean, you can see that from. I mean, this is just not because we're just in the band ourselves, but from our first EP to now, like I can look at that proudly because we've all grown as a band, like ridiculous style. Matt was really good when we started. Now Matt's like pretty damn good now.
Thanks, man.
And like each person in this band has pushed themselves. Like Tony came into this band as like a punk drummer, and that kid has worked his ass off. I mean, we whipped him a little bit, but
I gave Tony some.
He's exceeded my expectations and become one of like the best drummers I've ever got to work with. So,
yeah,
and he's crazy and insane, and super tweaked. But
so as far as making this album, Suicide Notes in Comic Sans, taking that growth that you guys have had over the years, putting that all together, like how's the process work? Who writes most of the songs? How do the lyrics go? Just give me a view into that process.
Well, Dan and I, we don't usually collaborate on the songs until one of us has most of the song finished, and then the other one will be like, oh, add this little part there, or do the, and that'll sound cool. And, so that's really our process. I know other bands, it may be more of a collaborative effort, and to a point, this is 100% collaborative, but, for the new album, let's say I would have maybe 5 or 6 songs that I wrote. I think 5 for this album. And then, I'd bring it to the band. I'd say, hey, do you guys like this? And they would say, yeah, I'm feeling that. Not really feeling that part so much. Maybe switch this around. And then once it really finally started coming towards the end, then, each individual member of the band could put their own, unique spin on it. And that's really how we get our final product. So a lot of it is driven, I guess, by the guitars. Dan and I specifically, sitting down and writing on our own, and then it's kind of having a meeting of the minds at band practice and getting everything together. And then Christian's lyrics, he just
wait. I like my version. I wait till these guys come in. They do their songs. They get the structure of everything, basic skeleton of everything, until like they start adding all the little like tweaks and nuances into it. And I just take that, sit back, and figure out what kind of vibe I get from the songs, and I write lyrics to it and bring it to them, show it what's good, and they're like, yay, or nay, and we go from there. I mean, it really starts off like everything is not as polished in the beginning. It sounds like kind of like a mess, but you can hear that there's something there, and then we constantly work on it. And before you know it, I mean, what started off as like one guitarist idea, like the second guitarist throughout like learning this will add little bits here and there, so it kind of makes it a more collaborative effort. Like when instead of like it's just one person who wrote this entire song, everybody has a bit. Like even Jesse, when Jesse came in, he wrote all his parts. Like what was it
as
like?
we were recording them,
I
pretty
know,
much.
it was like
yeah, I mean, our bassist left during the recording process, so we had to find someone real quick. Jesse Herman, had, him and Dan go back years. Way back. And we just really lucked out.
DBZ lovers.
But so he really stepped up, and we would be in the studio, Tony's basement, and I would say, okay, this part goes like this, and it was, his talent really came in handy. So I can't speak more highly of him.
But that kid Dan though.
Yeah, fuck it.
So let's let's just talk about how the band got started and how the name came about, all that.
Sure.
I guess I'll give you the origin story. Well, we were most of these. The original lineup was essentially this old band we were in, Sensory Defect. We all decided to leave, and so it was me, Dan, the old drummer Eric, and our old bassist Julius. So we decided to start like a new project. I asked Matt if he wanted to, play guitar because he wasn't doing anything since we were in the Brazen Agony together, and that was years ago.
Yeah, it was 2012, and this was 2014 at this one, or 2011 rather.
So Matt was like, "Alright."
I remember texting you. I ain't got shit else to do.
Yeah, that was exactly it. And so, we started off slow, but we still had, because me and Matt were jamming with our buddy Matt Brevetti,
Yeah,
for a while before that.
In between, and I had written some songs. One of them is actually on this album.
So we had shit we were working with, so we were able to kind of pick up somewhat quickly with patterns, and we ended up being able to come up with 6 songs for an EP and fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I think it was in.
It's at least 6 months or 7 months. I think we got our first EP out.
Yeah, started playing shows. It was pretty fast, moved pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then, from there on, it was pretty much playing shows, and then we were looking at doing a new album, and that was an idea that we were doing for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get to a point where the new material starts becoming stale, and you're kind of plateauing. It's well, you either gotta, figure something out and do something to keep this thing fresh, or just kind of walk away from it because it's had its time. Going back to your question about the coming up with the name of the band, I mean, I feel like every metal band goes through this stuff, and every member comes to the table with whatever they, you get a text message with 15 different band names from each member of the band, and half of them are all trying to be brutal, and the other half are whatever, they're just whatever.
Prepositional phrases.
Yeah, so.
It's only so many prepositional phrases.
I guess.
And now they're just going to pronouns and nouns and adjectives. There's actually a band called Pronoun. I was like, what?
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of one-word bands coming out. I saw a band called Pile and a band called Give open up for Converge. That was, So I guess that's where this is going. But I was looking at one of my guitar pedals. I think it was my noise gate, and it had a knob on it that said Decay. And I was, I was throwing that word around in my head, and I was like, okay, how do I use that? And I'd always wanted to use the word patterns in a band name because I thought it was mathematical or geometrical or whatever. And so I put the two together. Here we are. This is a lot more than you would believe.
There's nothing deep about it.
No, not really. It sounded like a metal band name, so here we are. I mean, I wish I could tell you it had some deeper significance, but it really doesn't. I mean, as you can tell, the names are really only just superficial for us. It's really more about the music and the content.
You guys have the new video for the song Glasshole.
Yes.
Where'd you come up with the name for Glasshole?
Glasshole is a reference to a show called Silicon Valley, and it's because one of the characters has such a weak posterior that his aunt used to call him Glasshole, and I thought that was hysterical.
I never heard of that term before, but my imagery of it was just like those things that they put in girls when they're gaping their buttholes.
What, a speculum?
You know the name?
Of course I do.
Okay, well,
I'm on the internet all the time.
To me, that was what a glasshole looked like to me,
okay.
and I was like, ooh.
Not like a glass butt plug, but like a...
No, that it looks like a plug for the... Not a butt plug, but like a gauge when you have the flesh tunnel and they
the
put...
crank?
No, it was like a...
Alright.
It's like a glass thing that you could see and put things in.
This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, this is quality material.
So you have the music video.
Right, yeah.
Just came out like two days ago.
Came out yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who did that? And how'd you come up with the concept? Because the concept is pretty funny.
Well, as far as the video goes, we handled it through our friends in Washed Up Media, specifically Sean Ageman, who's been invaluable in this whole
He's awesome.
process. His editing skills and his direction was exactly what we needed. He pulled off this concept that I wasn't really sure was going to work because we came up with it at the last minute after scrapping another concept. Originally, we were going to have something with my cats in the music video, and that just didn't work out. So I asked Christian, I was like, if you could describe the song in one word, what would you say? And he said existentialism. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to Google films about existentialism. And there's a film by Ingmar Bergman called The Seventh Seal, and it's Criterion Collection stuff. It's like high art as far as film is concerned. And there's a scene that's very famous where Death plays chess on the beach with a guy. And I was like, how do I take that and kind of twist it a little bit? And so I was like, why not have Death play Jenga with Christian over here? And then the ideas kind of just kept spiraling from there, and it was executed so well. And our drummer Tony plays Death in the video, and he really pulls off the look. He's a creepy looking motherfucker. And Christian did a great job, and everybody else did a great job, and it just really worked out better than I could have hoped.
Tony needs Ritalin.
Oh yeah, Tony does need Ritalin. He couldn't stay still for like the entire shoot.
You guys have the album release show coming out. You guys are headlining.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for us.
Yeah,
We've never really done that before. It's March 9th, 2018, depending on when you're watching that. And that's when we're going to be releasing our album. We'll have the physical releases. It'll be online, Spotify, iTunes, all that shit.
All that digital distribution.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
And also we got to pick everybody who was on the bill.
Yeah, that was great.
And it was awesome that they all agreed to do it. We didn't have to.
Yeah, we didn't have to go to any alternates.
No.
Everybody we wanted on this show is on this show. The guys in Prey Upon, Dan knows them for a while, and Christian,
We were bandmates for a while.
right, yeah, I mean, Mike, the guitarist, basically started
Mike.
Patterns of Decay, I mean, because he was in Sensory Defect with Christian, and then they parted ways, and that's what made this whole thing possible, so we're forever indebted to him. Then we have Thracian, who's playing after.
He's actually featured. Anthony's featured in our music video.
Yeah, the
Glasshole.
singer is on one of our tracks, Glasshole. He's in the video. They're great guys, really, really talented musicians. Then Wreath of Tongues will be playing after them. They're fucking dope.
With Cody of a Million Bands.
Yeah, their bassist is in like 18
But he's
different
amazing,
bands.
too.
He's just like, he's a machine.
He plays the saxophone too. Did you? see
Yeah,
that?
no, I mean he's an
Crazy.
actual musician. But I really dug their sound. They're coming from bands like Cult Leader, Full of Hell, and Nails, and stuff like that. Those are bands that I've really taken a liking to, and I wanted them on our show. Then More of Myself to Kill. We played our first show with them, and it felt it was only right to invite them to.
The Zebra Lounge.
Yeah. Oh God.
Zebra Lounge.
I just remember the bartender had a cast on her arm and like a leopard skin thong coming out of her like a denim mini skirt. She was
also
at
like-
least my mom's age, and it was uncomfortable for everybody.
It was. But come a long way.
Yeah, come a long way.
Come a long way.
So yeah, Amityville Music Hall, Friday, March 9th. Be there, be square.
What do you think some of the musical influences that went into this album? I know that it's kind of like
Question is
a large collection of songs from over a lot of years. But if you
My original songwriting influences, I guess if I had to go all the way back, to the beginning of this album process, you know, As I Lie Dying has been a band that's been part of my thought process pretty much since the beginning of me playing guitar. And that style of metalcore that they were playing in the early 2000s, you know, really resonates with me, probably because it was something I was listening to during my formative years. You know, so it's important to me. And them, along with Parkway Drive, is another band that we sound nothing like, that I would call an influence. You know, I mean, for me, the Dillinger Escape Plan and Every Time I Die, these are two bands that are always on, you know, my mind. I might not write, you know, exactly like them or anything, but there are things that I borrow. Norma Jean is another band, you know, especially when I'm writing all those dissonant chords, you know, and you know, stuff like that.
I mean, I've always had like, I can't listen to a band unless I like their vocalist. Like a lot of these bands that you, Dan, like, you guys listen to like what I call noise, but that's only because of like the vocal wise. Like, for me, it's more about like,
It's all about Corey Taylor.
yes. Corey Taylor's #1 influence for me, though, as far as you know, vocals, because it's always, when I was young, something to aspire to be, because that dude has just nailed it perfectly for me, in my mind. So he's clear with his vocals, everything, you know. But I'm getting off tangent here. I'd say, besides Slipknot, I got As I Lay Dying, like he said. Tim Lambesis was always just like a great vocalist in my head. Also,
Maybe a terrible person.
terrible person, but great vocalist for, you know, the type of music that we do.
You know, he did his time. He's paid his debt to society.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I know. He tried to have someone killed.
But yeah, I like lyrics that are more, you know. Actually, these lyrics are very depressing if you listen to the CD. Yeah, no. Usually I like to try and find a little bit of uplifting, you know, situations to put in my songs. But over the past couple of years, life has kind of been duty, so that has reflected in my lyrics.
A lot of your lyrics, they come from real life. Are they autobiographical, would you say, or is it just whatever is going on in your life is definitely seeping into the lyrical content?
I feel like it depends. Certain ones are like straightforward, like certain things about like my life. I like to leave everything that I write up to like interpretation, so it could be, you know, applied to whoever's listening to it, so they can put themselves in those shoes. So, and then other times I like to just write a story, like, was it Stoned by a Horse? The
Zombie movie, yeah.
Yeah, like it's just a zombie movie for me. It's just like, you know, Dawn of the Dead. Or I like to just, you know, make just abstract, you know, songs. But mostly there's a story to it, and either it comes from a life experience or something I'm going through right now. And yeah.
I know Dan's not here right now, obviously, but he would definitely list At the Gates and Lamb of God as two of his big influences for, you know, guitar and metal and songwriting in general.
Oh, and Unearth. I keep forgetting Unearth.
Where
But that dude, that band has shaped me. Like, Oncoming Storm was such a like monumental album.
it's a hell of an album, you know?
Kill Switch too. Why do we feel like Kill Switch? Kill
Yeah.
Switch is like, well, for me, it was a big influence.
No, even me. I mean, with my choruses and stuff like that, where I'm singing, you know, I would definitely take a page out of the Kill Switch book. I can't get up super high, so it's not always like that, but
Definitely influenced.
yeah, totally.
So on songs where you sing, Matt, are those lyrics that you write, or just singing Christian's lyrics, or do you come together on that at all? How do you decide when you'll be singing?
I mean, as far as that goes, if I write a song, like the two songs that I have clean vocals in, I wrote the guitar parts for. So I came into that knowing that there was going to be a chorus.
Well, I Fucked a Ghost was a collaboration between you and me for the
Definitely.
singing parts.
Yeah. No, I mean, I remember writing that in your basement on the acoustic and just coming up with, because I Fucked a Ghost is a back and forth between me and there's a call and response. So we really needed to be, you know, on the same page for that. Yeah, and that one really worked out pretty well. And then by Grafthor's Hammer, What a Savings, we pretty much came up with I think I wrote
Oh,
the lyrics in Tony's basement while we were recording them.
I believe you did.
Yeah. The first clean part,
Thanks for the preparation.
Yeah, no problem. Everything's down to the wire. But you know, I mean, I'll try to come up with something to complement his lyrics.
You know, is there anything else that you want to say, like parting words?
So we have a few moments to talk about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
All right. Parting words. God is good. I would say just be yourself, because that's how you're gonna feel most fulfilled in what you're doing. You know, that's not new advice. Everybody in the fucking world says that shit.
It seems like Patterns of Decay kind of represents like doing your own thing, being yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we don't. It's not like we don't have expectations for ourselves, but we're not really gonna. We're not gonna pigeonhole ourselves into, you know, this is what we need to be. This is what we need to be doing. If something cool comes around that distracts us, you know, we'll add that to our shit. You know. But you know, Suicide Notes and Comic Sans out March 9th. All right. We're going to be headlining our album release show Friday, March 9th at Amityville Music Hall. So come on down to that shit. Check out our new music video. Check out the video I shot for I Fucked a Ghost.
Which was in Tony's Sex Dungeon basement.
Yep. And then we're going to have more videos to come, more content. And then hopefully it won't be another 3 years before we release new music again.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely won't.
Right. Maybe some covers along the way.
We
That'd be
definitely
nice.
do love those covers.
Yeah, they're good times.
Hey, that's another thing. We love doing covers.
Yeah, covers are fun.
Covers are fun.
Yeah, I mean, our cover of Lamb of God's 11th Hour has been a staple of our set since we started. So I don't think we've ever played a show where we didn't play that song.
I think we've played that song more times than they've played that song.
Probably. It's basically our song now, so we're going to sue them for playing it live. No, I don't have the money for that. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, that's all I got. Smoke weed every day.
Bag.